is x between 0 and 1? So we get no information really from our prompt, just a question. We can draw this range, though, that we are looking for. We want to know if x is between those two values. On to the statement. Statement 1, x is between -1/2 and 3/2. So -1/2 is over here to the left of 0. 3/2 is 1.5. So that's to the right of 1. We know x is within this range here. And so to answer our question, is x between 0 and 1? Well, this is insufficient because we have some values that are between 0 and 1, anything over here. But we also have values here and here, which are outside our range. And so x could be 1/2, that's within our range. And that would be a yes to our question. X could be over here, though, and x could be, -1/4. That would be a no. So once we have a yes and a no to our question, we know this statement is insufficient. Statement 2, 3/4 is 1/4 more than x. So here, if we want to translate the statement, we could, but I don't have to. From just reading this statement, I know here the answer is B. And this statement is sufficient. How do I know that? Well, because the question is just asking, is x between 0 and 1? And so from looking at the statement, statement 2, I know I'm going to be able to solve for x. Even though I don't know what x is going to be, just knowing that I can come up with a value for x is going to be sufficient to answer this question, is x between 0 and 1? Even though I don't know if that value is between 0 and 1, so if it's sufficient to say yes, or if that value is not between 0 and 1, which would be sufficient to say no, I know it's going to be one of those two things. And so you don't need to know whether a statement is sufficient to say yes or sufficient to say no to know that it is sufficient. Do not confuse sufficient to say no with insufficient. So just knowing I can solve for x here is enough for me to know the statement is sufficient. Now, let's try and solve for x here just for the sake of thoroughness, which you should always do when you're reviewing. But on my actual test, I would have selected B and moved on. So statement 2 is saying 3/4 is 1/4 more than x. So they're saying 3/4 is equal to x plus 1/4. Therefore, x should be 3/4 minus 1/4, which is 2/4, which is 1/2. So this ends up being sufficient to say yes, x is within our range. But again, you didn't have to go this far. I was done a long time ago.